sure you're
Wouldn't you say
protected.
there's a good chance that COVID will not come back?
We don't
And
know.
or if it comes back, it's in a very small confined area that we put out.
Well,
Go ahead.
the great thing is we'll be able to find it earlier this time. And I think that's what we're talking about. We'll find those cases earlier. So what Dr. Redfield said, we would be able to stay in containment phase. And what we're also hoping, and we talked about this about 4 or 5 weeks ago, that we're hoping that the flu infections also go down because people are much more aware of respiratory illnesses and how to protect themselves. We want you to get your vaccine, but we also want to also protect individuals from getting the flu because of the vulnerability we know in certain populations to flu and the devastating outcomes to flu. We could prevent and decrease both of those things. So I think we are assured that the CDC is putting in place today what we are going to need in the fall so that we can stay in containment if potentially the virus comes back.
And if it comes back, though, it won't be coming back in the form that it was. It will be coming back in smaller doses that we can contain. But what the doctor was saying, and I spoke to him at great length, he was saying if it should come back together, now you have a flu and you have the embers of corona. But in my opinion, from everything I've seen, it can never be like anything that we've witnessed right now. Would you say that's the correct statement?
Absolutely.
It's nothing like what we're talking about. What we've just gone through, we will not go through. You could have some embers of corona and you could have a big flu system. And if they combine, if they come together, it's not great, but we will not go through what we went through for the last 2 months. Yeah,
Right.
President,
Is that a correct statement?
I understand that the United States will certainly be more prepared in the fall, but how can you say that you know it won't come back in the same level that it has today?
What it is estimated, it might not come back at all, Jeff. It may not come back at all. He's talking about a worst-case scenario where you have a big flu and you have some corona. And if it does come back, it's not going to come back, and I've spoken to 10 different people, not going to be like it was. Also, we have much better containment now. Before, nobody knew about it. Nobody knew anything about it. We understand it. Now, if we have pockets, a little pocket here, then we're going to have it put out. It goes out, and it's going to go out fast. We're going to be watching for it. But it's all possible. It's also possible it doesn't come back at all.
I understand the containment, but I don't understand how you know it won't come back on a big scale.
I didn't say it's not. I said if it does, it's not going to come back on anything near what we went through. But you could have a mess where they come at the same time. And if they come at the same time, the flu is not the greatest thing in the world, Jeff. It's not the greatest thing either. If they come at the same time, you have them both. But if we have embers of corona coupled with the flu, that's not going to be pleasant, but it's not going to be what we've gone through in any way, shape, or form. Yeah.
If you don't think that it's going to come back at the same severity it is right now, why are you still directing that taxpayer dollars to spend on emergency procurement of ventilators, tens of thousands?
Because we have to have them for other reasons. Something else could come. I mean, we didn't know about corona. Now we know about corona. But look at what happened. And now we did have the H1N1 swine flu. We had that. We have other things that have happened. We had various forms of flu, but nothing like what we've had here. Nothing at all like what we've had here with the virus. But something could happen. I think that the stockpiles, we're making hundreds of thousands of ventilators right now. Nobody writes about that. You know, at the one time, all they talked about was ventilators, right? Because you didn't think it was possible for me to solve that problem. And I solved it, and nobody can believe it. I just spoke to world leaders today who desperately need ventilators. They said, the job you've done, and we're sending 500 to Mexico, then another 500 to France. We're sending some to Spain. We're sending some to Italy. We have them, they're being made by the thousands. And world leaders, I spoke to Prime Minister, I went through a lot of different calls today. I won't even tell you. But I can give you a list if you want. But I went through a lot of calls to a lot of leaders, spoke with Pakistan. They would like to have some ventilators. We're going to get them some ventilators. But they all said to me one thing. It was incredible that you solved the ventilator problem, because that was a big problem. The testing problem, we've done more than any other nation in the world. Go a step further. If you added up the testing of every nation in the world, put them together, we've done substantially more than that. You people aren't satisfied. So let's say we had 350 million people in the United States, right? Let's say. And if we gave every one of those people a test 10 times, so we gave 350 people a test 10 times, the fake news media would say, where's the 11th time? He didn't do his job. Trump didn't do his job. Because you have a lot of bad reporting out there. It's very sad. And it's so bad.
That's not true.
Well, you're one of the leaders of the bad reporting.
No, but that's not true.
Okay, let's get on to another subject. I wanted that to be cleared up. If you want, we can get onto it later, but I want the Vice President to speak. But you ought to get the news accurately. You ought to write it. If you take a look at what you wrote about the ventilators, and when we became the king of ventilators, we're making different factories all over ventilators by the thousands. In fact, Mike got back from Wisconsin. First thing he did, he called up. I said, how's it going? He said, you're not going to believe. He just saw a plant, a factory, where they're making ventilators. I think I can say the words were unbelievable. He said it was unbelievable when he saw the quality of the equipment, the professionalism, a tremendous number of, how many workers would you say were there?
Over 550. They doubled production and are about to triple production.
Nobody thought this could be done. The fake news was very unhappy that it was done. But you guys don't ask me about ventilators anymore.
Who's unhappy that ventilators
Everybody,
are being made?
because you never mention it. You never mention it. There's no stories. What a great job we've done with ventilators. We're now supplying ventilators all over the world because no other country could have done what we did. And you should say that's a great story. Instead, you say Trump was slow or slow. We were so fast. Plus, we put the ban on so much earlier. When Nancy Pelosi, as an example, you don't say this, when she's having her rally in San Francisco, in Chinatown in San Francisco, nobody wants to say that. If we didn't, and Dr. Fauci said this, if we didn't close our country to China, we would have been so infected like nobody's ever seen. When you saw the chart, and we were at the top of the list in terms of success, nobody wrote it. I said, where is anybody going to use that chart? Nobody wrote it. In terms of mortality, you saw that. Nobody wrote it. Germany and our country, the most successful in terms of mortality. Nobody wrote it. It would be great if you wrote the truth, but let's get on with it because I want Mike to speak and then we'll take some more questions on the assumption you'd like to, and I think you probably will.